You're not lazy. You're not broken. You don't have a discipline problem. You have a dopamine problem. And the worst part, you've been engineering it yourself every single day without realizing it. Here's what nobody tells you. The version of you that can't get off the couch, can't focus for longer than 4 minutes, can't seem to push through anything that's hard. That version of you wasn't born. It was built, slowly, quietly, one scroll, one click, one hit at a time. And by the time most men figure it out, they're already years deep into a life that feels like it's happening to someone else. This video is about the mechanism, the actual biology of why you keep choosing comfort when you know that discomfort is the path. And more importantly, it's about the reset, the way back, because there is a way back. But first, you need to understand what you're actually fighting. Let's start with the neuroscience, because this isn't motivational theory. This is biology. Deep inside your brain, there's a system that's been running for roughly 200,000 years. It's called the mesolimbic dopamine system, and its job, its entire evolutionary purpose, is to motivate you to do things that keep you alive and help you reproduce. When early humans spotted prey, dopamine surged. Dr. Anna Lembke, a psychiatrist at Stanford and author of Dopamine Nation, describes it this way. The brain exists in a constant balancing act between pain and pleasure. Every time you experience a spike of pleasure, your brain compensates by tilting toward pain, a kind of automatic rebalancing. The system works perfectly when the rewards you're chasing are proportional to the effort required to get them. The problem is we broke the system, not intentionally, but comprehensively. Here's what happened. In the last 30 years, we've surrounded ourselves with what neuroscientists call supernormal stimuli. These are artificial inputs so intensely pleasurable that the brain has no calibration for them. They're not in the evolutionary rulebook. The brain encounters them and just floods. And your brain, doing exactly what it evolved to do, starts to adapt. This is where it gets dangerous. When dopamine fires repeatedly and intensely, the brain downregulates. It reduces the number of dopamine receptors. It literally makes itself less sensitive to pleasure. It does this because it's trying to maintain homeostasis, balance. The seesaw tips to compensate. The result? The things that used to feel satisfying no longer do. Reading a book feels flat. A long walk feels pointless. Even genuine accomplishments, finishing a project, going to the gym, start to feel underwhelming compared to the constant low-effort hits you've been feeding yourself. This is what Dr. Lembke calls dopamine deficit state. You're not depressed, you're desensitized. You haven't lost the ability to feel pleasure. You've just recalibrated your baseline so high that ordinary life, real life, can't compete. Now here's the part that should genuinely disturb you. This didn't happen to you. You did this to yourself. And you did it in the most banal, socially acceptable way imaginable. You opened your phone in the morning before you got out of bed. You watched 3 videos when you meant to watch one. You chose the easier path so many times in such small increments that you didn't notice the cumulative effect. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, talks about the aggregation of marginal gains. The idea that 1% improvements compound into massive results. The dopamine trap works on the same logic in reverse. Each individual choice to choose comfort over effort is 1% of damage. Invisible in isolation, catastrophic in aggregate. By the time most men notice, they're not just dealing with a bad habit. They're dealing with a rewired nervous system. A nervous system that now experiences difficulty as pain rather than challenge. That experiences stillness as discomfort rather than rest. That experiences real effort as suffering rather than meaning. And here's the real cost. Not just the couch time, not just the wasted evenings. The real cost is that you stop being able to tolerate the conditions that growth requires, because growth is uncomfortable. Growth is slow. Growth requires you to sit with the absence of reward for extended periods while you do the work that compounds. And if your brain has been conditioned to expect a hit every 30 seconds, growth becomes neurologically unbearable. That's why so many men with genuine ambition, men who want something, who have a vision, who know exactly what they need to do, still don't do it. It's not a motivation problem. The motivation is there. It's a tolerance problem. They can't tolerate the gap between effort and reward long enough for the effort to mean anything. Let me give you a name for this. I'm going to call it the reward gap. The reward gap is the distance between doing the work and feeling the result. In natural, low-stimulation environments, humans tolerate this gap easily. A hunter waits days for a kill. A farmer plants in spring and harvests in autumn. A craftsman works for years to develop mastery. The reward gap was normal. It was expected. It was built into the rhythm of life. Modern dopamine culture has collapsed that gap to near zero. And in doing so, it's made the natural gaps of real work feel intolerable. When you sit down to work on a business idea and nothing happens in the first hour, you reach for the phone. When you go to the gym and don't look different in the mirror after 2 weeks, you stop going. When you try to read a book and your mind wanders after a page, you put it down and open YouTube. Not because you're lazy, because your nervous system has been trained to expect a response time of milliseconds. And a business, a body, a skill, they don't respond in milliseconds. The reward gap is the arena where your life is either built or abandoned. And right now, for most men, the gap is losing. Here's the good news. The brain is not permanently broken. It's plastic. Neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to rewire itself, means that the calibration can be reset. The receptor density can recover, the baseline can come down. But it requires something that feels, initially, almost impossible. It requires you to stop feeding the system. Not forever. Not monk mode, no phone, no fun forever. But long enough and consistently enough that the seesaw rebalances. That the floor comes back down. That ordinary life starts to feel real again. Dr. Lembke recommends what she calls a dopamine fast. A structured period of abstinence from your highest stimulation inputs. Not everything, but the specific things you know are running your compulsion loops. The things you reach for automatically. The things you use to escape. The research suggests that meaningful receptor recovery begins around the 30-day mark.